Hey guys, and welcome back to CM Rankings and Reviews, and today I thought I would rank every MCU movie and show. I just got done watching Eternals, so we're going to see where that falls on this list. Before we get into this, please hit the subscribe button down below, and, well, let's just get into these tiers. So the first one is awesome, great, good, meh, and worst. Now, I just want to say the worst MCU movie is still good. Not good. It's not horrible. It's not bad, but it's just the worst compared to everything else in the MCU. The shows will be in here as long as they are made by Marvel Studios, so no Daredevil on this list. Let's start off with the Avengers, my favorite movie of all time, so of course it's going in the awesome tier. What's there to say about the Avengers that hasn't already been said? It's really fun. It's a great movie. It really set up what the MCU was going to be. I know there was 5 movies before that, but this really set up what, the MCU was going to be going forward with the dynamics of the characters and all that stuff, and I love the Avengers. Captain Marvel is far from the Avengers, actually. It's one of my least favorite MCU movies. I don't think Captain Marvel is a great character, so I don't know why Captain Marvel got her own movie before Black Widow, but she did. Thor: The Dark World's also going in the worst tier, and I will be ranking these, and I do think Captain Marvel is worse than Thor: The Dark World. Not because Thor: The Dark World is a good movie, but just because I don't enjoy Captain Marvel, and I'd actually rather, this is probably a controversial opinion, but I would rather rewatch Thor: The Dark World. It's still got some good acting and some fun characters in the mix, unlike Captain Marvel. Okay, so The Incredible Hulk's going in the meh tier because it's not bad. It's not to the level of Thor: The Dark World or Captain Marvel, but I don't know. It's not that rewatchable, mostly because it's not Mark Ruffalo and it is Edward Norton. And it does suffer from some plot issues, but Endgame's going in the awesome tier. Heck yeah. Endgame's a great movie. It used to be one of my favorite movies of all time, but Avengers took that spot. I love the Avengers Endgame too. It's a great movie. It's the whole time traveling aspect and Tony Stark's character arc being complete in this movie is great. It was fun going back in time, doing the time travel stuff. It's a great movie. I know some people don't like it because it's really long. I don't feel the length, actually. It goes by pretty fast when I watch it, and it's a great movie. Ant-Man's going in the good tier. Ant-Man's a heist movie. It's really fun to watch. Paul Rudd is great in the role. So is Michael Douglas and Evangeline Lilly. They're all really good in this movie. And I think, I don't think it's as good as Ant-Man and the Wasp, but I do enjoy it. It's not that rewatchable for me, at least. But, it's still a good movie. And, it's got a solid, great cast. Louise is great in here. In the end credit scene where we got Captain America, Falcon, and Bucky Barnes was really fun to see. Age of Ultron is going in the meh tier. It's going high meh tier, but I used to love Age of Ultron, but on rewatch, I don't think I like it as much as I used to. It really falls into Joss Whedon trying to do so much with this movie that it doesn't work. He's trying to take the first Avengers movie, which to me is a near perfect movie, and he's trying to amp everything up times 10, and it doesn't work. And that's why it falls flat for me. Guardians of the Galaxy is going in the great tier. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I think the team dynamic is amazing. James Gunn really did a surprisingly good job on this movie. He made people feel for a tree and a raccoon, and it works really well. I think Chris Pratt, every actor who plays in this movie, who plays the main 5 characters, I think does a great job, whether it's Dave Bautista, Zoe Saldana, Vin Diesel, or even Bradley Cooper. It's just a fun movie. Now, the villain is a little weak, and I think that's why I can't put it in awesome, but it's still going in the great tier. Iron Man 2 is also going in the meh tier. It's going high meh tier, though. I used to love this movie a lot more than I do now, but it's still pretty enjoyable. I still like Tony Stark, and Happy's dynamic in here, and Tony Stark, and Don Cheadle. And Black Widow gets introduced here. It's a really fun movie, but it's also the plot doesn't work. It's trying to juggle so much at once that it's kind of giving you a whiplash. No pun intended. But there's so much going on that it's just convoluted. Black Widow's going in the good tier. You know what? I'll put it higher than Ant-Man. I really love Black Widow compared to a lot of other people. I thought it worked really well, mainly for two reasons. Yelena Belova and Red Guardian, David Harbour and Florence Pugh did a great job, and they were hilarious. So funny that I actually think they made this movie in the good tier. I maybe would have put it in the mad tier, but it does have some problems with the villain and all that other stuff, but for the most part, it's a funny, enjoyable MCU ride. The Winter Soldier. Now, this is going to be controversial, but I'm going to put in the great tier. Most people have it top tier. Maybe it's their first movie. No, I got to put Captain America the Winter Soldier in great tier. It's still a great movie, but there's just something about this movie that I don't think is as great as people say it is, but it's still phenomenal. It's a political thriller. We get Bucky Barnes in here as the Winter Soldier, and everything in this movie from Nick Fury to Black Widow is just really fun and enjoyable. Guardians 2. I'll put that in the great tier as well, up there with the first movie. I really enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I know a lot of people nowadays are starting to not like it, but I still really love Guardians 2. I actually saw Guardians 2 before Guardians 1. So I have kind of more of a connection with this movie, but I still think the Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, is better. Doctor Strange is going in the good tier. The visuals in here are phenomenal, but it does kind of suffer from a plot that is very similar to Iron Man, and it feels kind of shallow at times. Civil War, I want to put it in the great tier, but I don't think it is. It's pretty long. I will put it in the great tier based on the airport fight and that only, because everything else other than the airport fight is pretty weak, and none of it really is that strong. I mean, it's a movie that split up the Avengers, but I think it could have been handled a little bit better. Again, that airport fight was really good, and I really enjoyed it. Ant-Man and the Wasp. This is going to be really controversial, but I do believe Ant-Man and the Wasp is one of the greatest MCU movies. So I'm putting it in the great tier. I want to put it in the awesome tier, but I think I might get too much hate for that. I've seen this movie the most out of any MCU movie, and it's the most simple movie in the MCU, and that's why it's one of my favorites. After Infinity War, this is the perfect movie. It's really funny. It's really clever. Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly have great chemistry in here. Michael Douglas is great. You know what? I'm putting in the awesome tier because I love this movie. It's honestly a great movie in my opinion, and one of my favorite MCU movies. It gets too much hate, I think. People don't like it because it does feel smaller, but as a movie on its own, if you take it out of the MCU context, it's a really good movie. Next up, Infinity War is going into the awesome tier above Ant-Man and the Wasp. I love Infinity War. It handles so many Avengers characters at once, and I think it does it in a pretty good job. In Endgame, they're more of cameos. In Infinity War, everybody's a supporting player, and my only problem with Infinity War is that Cap and Black Widow got sidelined majorly, like they're barely in the movie, but I still really enjoy Infinity War, and I do think, Thanos is one of the greatest movie villains of all time, not just in the MCU. Iron Man's going in the good tier. Controversial, I know, but, I'll put it in top good tier. It's just not one of my favorite MCU movies. It does feel a little dated compared to nowadays, but I still really like it. Black Panther's going in the great tier. I'll put it ahead of Civil War. I really enjoy Black Panther. It's a great movie in my opinion. The score's phenomenal, and Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace, he does a great job in this movie. The first Avengers going in the meh tier. I know I like war movies, but you know what? I'll put it in the good tier. I still really enjoy this movie, but there's just something about it that a lot of Phase One movies don't hold up as well compared to the other movies, but it's still a really fun, enjoyable ride to see Steve's transformation. Okay, there's Captain Marvel. Okay, so next up, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This is going in the good tier. It's a good show. It's going low good tier though because I there's just something that didn't click about this show. This was everybody's most anticipated MCU show for the most part, and WandaVision was not. But after both of them came out, people liked WandaVision more, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier feels the most paint by numbers out of all the MCU shows so far. And I think that's its biggest flaw because, while the dynamic between the two leads is great, I think Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie are great in this movie. I don't know. There's just something about it that doesn't fully click. And I don't like the villain in here because we're supposed to feel sympathy for her, but then she blows up banks and orphanages with innocent people, and we're supposed to feel bad for her, and I just don't. So that's going in the good tier. Iron Man 3. This is going in the meh tier. You know what? I will put it in the worst tier as I've only watched it once, and I don't think I really want to watch it again. There's nothing in here that I particularly like. I'll put it low meh tier. But it feels kind of, it feels meh. There's nothing too special about it. I think Happy Hogan is the best part of this movie because Robert Downey Jr., he does an okay job in this movie, but without the Iron Man stuff, it's inconsequential because, he blows up his suits, and in the next movie, he has his suits again. So that's going in the meh tier. Thor Ragnarok going in the great tier. Funniest MCU movie, I think. It's going top MCU tier. I really love Thor Ragnarok. I can endlessly rewatch it. Having Mark Ruffalo in here is great. Loki's great. The Avengers in here. It's just a really funny movie, and it's really fun. Spider-Man, no way. No, Spider-Man Far From Home. This is actually going in the good tier, and I'm going to put it really high in the good tier. I really enjoy it, and I'll throw Spider-Man Homecoming in there as well. These two movies are both really good MCU movies. As for Spider-Man movies, I still enjoy them. People don't like them as Spider-Man movies because people call them Iron Man Jr., but I really like Spider-Man Homecoming. You know what? Spider-Man Homecoming's not as good as Far From Home, so I'll put Far From Home in the great tier because we get to go around the world, and it's cool to see, him trying to balance being Spider-Man and Peter Parker around the world with all these events happening. I think it's really fun to see that. Next up, Thor, going in the meh tier. This is probably my least favorite Phase 1 movie. I don't care for it. It just feels so different compared to where Thor's comes. Like, he starts off so different that I don't think I could put it very much higher because it doesn't have many. It's not very consequential. Next up, WandaVision, going in the great tier. WandaVision is a really enjoyable show. It's really fun, and it's crazy, all the sitcom aspects. It's really cool to see Marvel go this wacky and crazy, especially to start off Phase 4. Loki, also going in the great tier. I'm going to have to put it right there. It's high great tier. I love Loki. It's a phenomenal show. What they did with the Time Variance Authority, the TVA, is great. Seeing different versions of Loki is really fun to see, and it's a really well written show, well shot. It's well acted. It's just almost a perfect MCU show. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Oof. I'm going to put this top great tier, actually. Mainly because, you know what? I'm putting it in the awesome tier. I love Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi's great. It's better than Ant-Man and the Wasp. I love Shang-Chi. The action sequences are the best out of the whole MCU. They're amazing. The set design and all that cinematography and the shooting of the fight scenes makes it awesome. Shang-Chi's a great character, and Aquafina's really fun in here as well. But we also have one of the best MCU villains with Tony Leung playing the Mandarin. We also get Ben Kingsley returning, who I thought was pretty funny in this movie. And of course, we get some pretty cool end credit scenes. Next up, What If? I'll put What If in the good tier, but I'll put it high in the good tier. I really enjoyed What If. The only problem with it is as of now, it is inconsequential, but I know down the road it won't be. Probably in Doctor Strange 2, they'll introduce these characters in live action, everything with the multiverse, but as of now, it's the only animated thing in the MCU, but I still think it's very well done, especially the two-part finale. Eternals, the newest MCU movie, for me is going in the great tier, and it's going pretty high. I'm going to put it right below Guardians of the Galaxy. I loved Eternals. I'd give it a 9.5 out of 10. Like, I loved Eternals. It's a great movie. They balance all the characters enough to make you, kind of latch on to each character. How they handle all the mythology, I think, works really well. I think having Chloe Zhao direct this was a great idea because this movie is great. And I loved in Eternals, and I know it's the most controversial MCU movie. I loved Eternals, and you know what? I'm going to put it in top great tier. There you guys have it. There's my ranking of every MCU movie and show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button down below, and of course, as always, you can watch more videos right